gone, is it?
Yeah.
It is now.
So, just to go, like I was saying, just to go back and fill in a gap that we missed. After you came home from the Navy, and before you joined the police, you had several jobs on farms and as a milkman, as I understand. But one of those was a business venture with your brother, Len, Fred, and it was a farm somewhere, and it wasn't a very happy ending.
It was 8.
So tell us about that.
We had 8 acres of land.
So had you bought this?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I think I don't know if I think we must have paid for it, bought it outright, or bought it on a mortgage or something. Anyway, we had these 8 acres, and
where? Sorry.
In Cornwall.
Cornwall. Right.
Down at Camelford. Yeah, Camelford way, and that near Boscastle, and actually while I was talking about that, but in Boscastle there's a pub called the Cobweb Inn, and apparently as you go in there, the whole ceiling is covered in cobwebs. Yeah, Cobweb Inn it's called. That's in Boscastle, but we was in Camelford. Anyway, so what we did, we bought this old lorry, and chucked our furniture in there, or Fred's furniture in that, and that's how we got down to Camelford. And we, as I say, we bought this, and the idea was at the time is that I was supposed to be on Naval Reserve, a paid reserve, right? So I was relying on that bit of pension to see us through, you know.
Yeah.
And then we thought we'd get odd jobs on farms and that. And what we also did, we got this chap that sold us the farm. He was also had a poultry thing, and we took all these little cockles off him, and we were going to fatten them up for make what they call poussons, which is a very young cockle chicken, you know, for the meat trade. And we was going to make a fortune.
Okay.
But we didn't make a fortune.
And what else were you going to do with the 8 acres? Would you?
Well, we rented them out. At one time, we rented that out to another farmer for his sheep. And at the time, I had 2 dogs, which I've always had dogs, you know, 2 boxers. And one day when I had the flu, I think, and I was in bed. I don't know, the boxers got out, and my brother was bloody useless, and because they started to pull down these sheep.
Right.
So he took his sheep away, and we got no money out of that lot, but it didn't cost us any money, which was good. But so that little grazing money, which we would rely on, wasn't there. But
so there was you, Fred, Mum,
and his wife,
and you were all living in what, like a cottage?
Yeah, a nice house. It was pretty good, pretty nice house. Yeah, a real farmhouse, you know, way out in the wilds, of course. And
how did Mum feel about moving out? She was a city girl like you.
Quite happy. No,
yeah.
she was quite happy. She quite enjoyed it. But one of the things was, brother Fred got a bit anti because your mum fell pregnant with Stephen.
Yeah.
And so that upset the apple cart just a wee bit. And we got jobs on farms, you know. We went out hedging and fencing, and there was and because Fred, being a driver, managed to get some jobs, and I did drive a tractor as well,
And you were doing these jobs because you was expecting to make money from these chickens when they
grew up.
yeah.
And we raised them. We raised these chickens, and so of course we ate some of them as well, you know. But we didn't make no money on it. And when Fred's father-in-law died, and anyway, so Fred and Doreen, that was his wife, they upped and went back to Liscard, where she lived.
Right.
So that left just your mum and I on our own. And well, because the Navy then sent me a letter to say that although I'm on the reserve, I'm on another reserve, which they don't get paid. So they reneged, whatever you call it, on some money that I was relying on.
So this would not have been a nice letter to receive. You would have felt fucking sick.
Yeah, it was another hammer and anyway, in the end, I got hold of the joker that sold us the farm, and I said, look, you know, we're off, and you sell this for whatever. I said, all it is, I don't want any debts. So whether we made a profit out of it or not, I don't know.
You just walked off.
We just walked off.
Now,
and we did take a few chickens with us.
Yeah.
To Rouse Road, and I remember temporarily we had put a little thing under the sink in the kitchen, and boxed that in.
Yeah.
And we had the chickens in
under the sink.
Yeah. For a little, only till we could sort the garden out. Yeah.
Okay.
But and then actually I think it was after that I went as a milkman for a while on the UD,
Right.
United Dairies, and that's where I got my driving licence on the electric motor.
Ernie and his fastest milk cart.
Yeah. And
so just going back to the farm though, Dad, I think there's a little bit more to the story, isn't there? These were. It didn't just not work out. You had no money, did you? There were times when you didn't have anything to eat either.
Yeah, it was hardjacker. Yeah, and of course one of the other problems was that being we were isolated, and I didn't drive. We did not have a motor, and this big old van that we had. I mean, it just about got us down to Cornwall, and that was it. It backed up. So, and then, of course, as I say, we had bright ideas on this, but it never worked out. And yeah, we starved, and we had to eat some of these chickens and things, but.
So was Stephen born at the farm, or did he
no,
get born
at
was he back at Rouse Road?
Rouse Road he was born, yeah. And so that was another reason we can't. Of course, the biggest joke of the lot was that my Fred got all upset because Barbara was pregnant and we was going to have this baby, because that was going to be because he'd been married a lot longer than I had. Anyway, his wife got pregnant when she got back to Liscard, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know.
Or maybe that's why he was upset. Maybe he was jealous.
Well, I don't know. I don't think he was happy about this other baby. Anyway, it didn't work out, and as I say, we walked out of it.
There was an incident when Tony that must have been another time. That must have been somewhere else. Tell me about that. There was an incident when. Oh, it might have been Tony. he visit
No.
and he got attacked by a cockerel?
No. Yeah.
Where was
No.
it? Where did
That was after I came back from that. Then I went as a milkman, and then I got this job at Basingstoke as a pigman.
Oh, okay.
And Stephen was born then.
Yeah.
You know, and again, it was sort of pretty isolated, or not as isolated as the other, but I wanted a pigman on this farm, and we lived in this farmhouse that was sort of on a farm, but the main farm was down in the valley a bit more, you know. So, and I used to look after. I had the pigs, and I used to look after any of the sick animals, you know. And I remember having a go at a bloke when they brought up a great big steer, because he used to breed beef cattle as well on this farm. And they brought one of these up that was injured, and one of the hands there was trying to bang two barrels of shit out of it with a stick, because I went berserk and I wouldn't have that. And so I said, I'll show you what to do, and I got a sack, and I put a stick in a sack because it fell down, and I put that in front of the steer, and I got him into the pen, and I said to him, it's all right for you to bash him like that, I've got to get in and feed that animal. And he had big old horns, you know? And I wasn't amused, and as I say, I wouldn't have it, and the boss was there as well, but I just wouldn't have that nonsense. So yeah, so we was there, and because he bought some pigs for me, and some sows, and because they had the little fellas, and I built what they call a creep in the corner of the house, which was only a wooden block the corner off, but with with a lamp in, ultraviolet lighting.
Yeah.
So the little pigs could get in there under the light, and the sow couldn't get to them, because the danger is the big sows would turn over, and they would crush the little pigs and kill them. So that's what this creep was.
I'll just go deal to your...
Well, I'll call him. Just shut that off for a minute.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry. So you built this thing for the...
Yeah. So we raised these pigs, you know, and a couple of instances there is that they weren't. The little pigs weren't progressing very well, and I said to the farmer, who was a gentleman farmer, in other words, he didn't get his hands dirty.
Yeah, right.
The pig stuff that he was giving me was for fattening pigs, and I said, these little pigs have got to go on a special diet, you know. No, he wouldn't have it. Anyway, he got a vet to come out. And I remember that they came up, and the vet said, "Oh, you know, pick up some of them." And I said, "Look, I'll pick up the little ones and bring them out, but don't you?" I said, "But you two get out of it, because if she sees you two there, she's going to go daft also." Because I used to go in with the sows, and I found with most females, if you rub their tummies and their old titties, they lay down, and they used to love it.
Yeah.
And so that's what I used to do to the sows, and so that they, you know, they sort of loved me. It was good. So anyway, I told them to get out of the way, because I wasn't going to pick a pig up with them. And anyway, I went in and picked up some of these little fellas.
Yeah.
It's winking now. Yeah, I picked up these little, so he could see them, and he said the same, that they should be on a special diet. You know, but I told him that. I knew that. It's obvious. Anyway, I think we changed it, and so that they'd all grew up, and we had them castrated, and they all went off to market. You know, when they got big. And another thing, I used to go out shooting on this farm, but at weekends this gentleman farmer, him and his cronies would come to go shooting, you see.
Yeah.
So I always made a point of going shooting on the Friday to get what I could. And even your Uncle David came down, and I remember we got from one of the farmhands. He had a 12 bore, but it had all been cut down.
Oh yeah.
So it was sort of as a 12 bore pistol.
Oh God.
So
Yeah.
Uncle David had that, and I had a 12 bore rifle, single barrel. Yeah, and we all went out shooting shooting hares, and I learned to get a hare. What I used to do, I used to go out in the paddock, and where the hares were, and I used to just lay down on the ground and just sort of look up and with the rifle, just stay there, and the hares would look and see you, and they'd get curious eventually, and one of them would come up and have a look and see who you was. So you waited till you got right into gunshot, and then so I had a hare for dinner. But yeah, and the other thing that I got always worked up about was that we used to put Stephen out in a pram out in the garden, right?
Yeah.
And, there was a wall. I can remember there was a wall there, and he'd be in the garden. And as I say, this farmer was a gentleman farmer, you know, and so he had hunting, all that bloody dog, all the hunting dogs and whatnot.
Yeah.
And this particular day, they were out, and this huntsman, the idiot, he was the other side of the wall with his bloody horn going, brr, brr, and of course Stephen was. So, because again, I did have a little few words with him, of course, but yeah, that was another instance I remembered. Yeah.
And is this where the cockerel incident happened?
Yeah, and also up there we had what they call a big straw yard, right? It's a big straw yard, and there was houses in there, and I think we must have had over 1,000 chickens in there, and so I used to feed and look after them as well. We used to collect the eggs and used to wash all the eggs, and because we used to keep the double yolkers for ourselves.
Yeah.
But anyway, we had all these eggs we used to cook, and Eileen and David used to come down there and they brought the kids. And this particular time, I don't know, somebody left the gate, it might have been me, but the gate got open around this thing, and all the chickens got out into the yard.
Oh, okay.
And they were all in this yard, and Tony was in it, and I heard him shouting and screaming, and I went, and the cockerel, used to call him Henry, because it was his yard, eh? Whoa! And because he didn't take kindly to these kids, and the next thing I know, he jumped onto Tony and kicked with his spurs and kicked 2 holes in his head there.
Bloody hell.
And I often wondered if he's got the scars there now, but yeah. Anyway, we got him in, and I went and got my rifle, and I went out there, and there's all these chickens, you know, and I went, "Gok, gok, gok, gok." And of course Henry put his head up, didn't he? I went, and I shot him, yeah. And I told the farmer, he said, "That's all right." He said, "You can have it, $10. So he charged me $10 for this bloody chicken.
Oh my God, what a cheeky bastard.
Well, this was it. I mean, this was what he was like. Eh? So anyway, and that was where I sat the exam for the Hampshire Police.
Right.
Well, I was there. I told you.
Yeah.
With Stephen on my lap, and I took this bloody exam.
Okay. Well, that's good. Thanks. That fills in that gap that we had missed. So that's nice. From here on, I guess our next chapter is the pub game. So we've spoken about the police. We've done that. So we'll talk about that. But I'm just going to turn this off for a tick.